Welcome to the campus of DePaul University in Chicago and beautiful Lincoln Park to the MouthpieceSports.com Buzz Session. I'm pleased to introduce our panel tonight. We'll start with ladies, of course, ladies first. This is Brenda Weitzel, a retired head coach of Hinsdale South High School girls basketball, 27 years on the job there. I think she'll have something to offer today. The man in the middle, if you will, is the assistant coach of the women's basketball team at the University of Illinois at Chicago. This is Kevin McManaman. Kevin, thank you for joining us. And a man who knows this campus and this classroom pretty well. This is Coach Doug Bruno, the head coach of the DePaul women's basketball team and a longtime advocate of women's sports and, of course, women's basketball. So thank all of you for taking time to join us on MouthpieceSports.com. It's great to have you here. I'm watching TV 2 nights ago, and I see the first-round draft pick of the Chicago Sky, Sylvia Fowles, do about 7 different dunks that I couldn't do when I was in high school, and I was about the same height and weight. I think it's safe to say, Coach, I'll start with you, that women's basketball has come a long way, and not just athletically, I think all around in terms of the way the game is perceived. I'd like to get your perspective going back to when you first started to where it is now.
Okay, I played at Indiana State from 73 to 77, so it was a long time ago. And I was fortunate, I played for Coach Edie Godleski, who was way ahead of her time. You know, I learned a lot about what I know about basketball from her, and then continuing to go to clinics like Coach Bruno's through the years. And definitely it's changed. Better coaching and athletes committed to the game and just the opportunities that they had to develop the game.
Terrific. Coach, obviously your experience level rivals Coach Weitzel's. You've seen it all, and especially on a college level. Players today, is it an insult to say for a guy like me that obviously played men's basketball that girls today play like guys?
I don't think that's an insult at all. I mean, female athletes are great athletes, Bob, and they've been great athletes for an awful long time. I've got exposed to coaching women in the mid-'70s. When Brenda was playing, the first stint here at DePaul was between 75 and 78. Sure. And the serious passion with which the women that played in the mid-'70s is equal to any guy that ever played. And now you say they play like guys from what you're able to observe through your eyes, but the passion, the commitment, the striving for excellence has always been there. And now because Sylvia can dunk, you can see it from the outside in, but at the same time, it's just, I mean, a testament to all the young women that have worked through the years to grow all their respective sports.
Sure, well, I mean that, of course, as a compliment, and I mean it from a fan's perspective, because I remember a few years ago when we first had a female dunk, you know, it made it on SportsCenter and it was all over the place, and while Sylvia was doing a variety of pretty acrobatic dunks, things that you might have seen in dunk contests not too long ago, dunking has become commonplace. I think that speaks to how far the game's progressed. Coach, I'd like to hear your perspective.
Yeah,
well, again, we actually had the privilege of playing Sylvia Fowles this year in Cancun, Mexico, and that was my first time just being that close to really someone that really stood out. You know, our players, we have a couple girls 6'3", 6'4", and they were literally getting thrown around. I mean, she's definitely one of the stronger athletes, and I mean, I was very excited this guy got her because I think her athletic ability is really going to change the game as far as what Chicago needs to see and hopefully really grasp you know, where the NBA is going. I know I saw the WNBA said they'd like to get 2 more expansion teams coming up here in the next couple of years, and that's where, again, it's all because of the growth of the game and where it's gone.
And that's how you're going to get it, by getting on TV, and I think your average fan at home, Coach, and I'll present this to you, sees that and sees her dunk and says, this game's probably come a long way. What will they see if they come to a WNBA game or even a girls' high school basketball game today that they didn't see, say, 10 years ago?
I think the strategies, you know, the women's games, I guess you would have to say caught up with the men's game in terms of that, because women are able to do so many things now. And I think it definitely, a lot of times people will allude to the fact that, you know, they don't play above the rim like guys do, but this gives another, you know, element to the game, which will attract more fans.
Obviously, I think that's a positive. And Coach Bruno, I'm glad she mentioned strategy, because I've heard Coach Knight, Bob Knight, say that the women's game is the most purest sense of the game because of that fact that they don't play above.
Well, Bob, you were talking about the dunk, and the dunk opens doors. It opens eyes. But you know, if you really understand the game of basketball, whether you're a female fan or a male fan, you know, the game is played before the people leave the floor for the dunk. And the true person that understands fundamental basketball understands exactly what Kobe did last night against San Antonio before he left the floor. And I think that's what's really important. And you know, we're in a media situation here. And Sylvia Fowles is going to help expose, but still today, only 8% of all media coverage is on women. All right, that means 92% of all media coverage is on guys. So for Sylvia to attract the attention of a Bridgeport guy like yourself, all right, to get the jaded male fan that you know, we are starting to do pretty well with parents of young children, young girls. We're doing pretty well with the elderly, the retired people. But to get that demographic of the jaded male fan, that's what I call them, the jaded male fan who say instinctively, you're a girl, you can't dunk, therefore you can't play, that is what Sylvia is opening up. And it opens up a sociological question of why, you know, just how good female athletes really are. And if you really are a student of sport, not just, you know, not just the celebrated sport that's been created by the male media, then you understand that there's athletes out here that are female that are excellent on every front. And you see it, you know, you see it in basketball, you see it in volleyball. Those are probably the two most exposed. You see it in women's tennis, but it's really, you know, it's a phenomena that is, you know, it deserves the recognition. And don't forget, women were not allowed to play sports. I mean, that was, they didn't have opportunities for women to play sports. When I went to DePaul, the only females we had playing sports were called cheerleaders. All right, and then our cheerleading coach took.
Well, we'll get into Title IX eventually.
Well, our cheerleading coach took, I don't mean to get off on a tangent on you, Bob, but our cheerleading coach took our cheerleaders and made them compete in gymnastics contests, and you know, Title IX brought it here.
Well, I'll ask Coach McManaman then. We are all aware of the point that Coach Bruno just made, but that 8%, how do we make that 8% 18% and 28%? How do we get that ignorant male sports fan to recognize what true greatness athletically is out on the courts and the fields today in women's athletics?
Yeah, well, obviously, TV would definitely help, but you know, Doug brought up a great point. I think we're trying to reach them because the game of women's basketball has grown so much. Maybe trying to get a hold of those fathers and stuff that are bringing their kids to camps and stuff all around, and just seeing how talented maybe their daughters are at that early level. And once they continue to go up, you know, these are the same fathers that are coaching them at that young age, and then again continue through high school and the college level. And I think it starts with that, you know. And again, you know, hopefully, you know, I know the Sky is doing everything it can to try and get people to the games and market and stuff like that. But you know, there's obviously certain ways with the whole media blitz, including yours right here, you know, just
Appreciate
trying
the
to,
plug,
yeah,
Coach.
exactly,
Well
it's
done.
pretty good. So, but just trying to get out to as many people as possible. And I think we're in that information age right now that it's possible to reach all demographics.
Coach McManaman touches on a good point, because media is my third point here, Coach, if you take a look. And the fact that we're here today talking about it obviously is a positive. But it wasn't that long ago that just the coverage in sports in general was quite different. The media age that he alluded to, with the advent of the internet and YouTube and downloading videos and video phones and that stuff, has really made all kinds of things accessible. But that's a point we're going to make in our next segment here on the MouthpieceSports.com Buzz Session. We'll take a short break here from DePaul University and be back with our panel to continue on the Buzz Session.